All right, so we are
Ooh, we're
live.
live.
Welcome
Ooh,
to the
okay.
Fox Den. We haven't been here in so long. Mama
I
D has
feels
something
like
very
for freaking
important to tell
yeah.
you.
I need my people. Okay. I have y'all know that I paint, right? So I have my new Instagram for my painting, for my art. And there's a contest on one so you can win a free painting, which will be nice and send it to you. Shipping free, the whole shebang. Just go over there. Go Darlene Angel Meadows Art. Put that in Instagram. Follow my. I will follow you back. You
All
follow me.
one word.
Follow you back.
All one word.
All one word. You'll see my paintings. It's not my face,
We
but
should put that in the type that in the banner.
fine. I will do that. I will put that
Yeah.
in the chat, in the link in the chat, and I'll figure it out. But get your asses over.
She swore. I
I'm,
get some.
I'm, I'm building. I'm building her castle. Get your asses over there.
My jar is about this big.
Our guest. You guys don't know this, but our guest in the green room, I can see her. She's giggling because I'm swearing. This is like Mama Dave swear. She only doesn't know
She
me.
never does. She never does. It's
Yeah, when
usually.
I dropped the F bomb one time on the show, she almost had a heart attack.
I know. I'm like, oh my god. Even in our normal conversations, I don't even hear you say that,
No.
and I'm just like, rah, 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 all the all the time. But tonight's show, guys, is going to be fun. We are going to be talking about this book right here with Ana Maria Vasquez. I will play her little video. Tells a little bit about her. Um, she's so down to earth. Ha! Get it?
She's adorable.
All right, let me play the video. She will be with us as soon as it ends. This week in the Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, we welcome Ana Maria Vasquez. She is a multi-sensory animal and nature intuitive and a shamanic practitioner. As a natural energy reader, she lifts the veil between what's occurring in the physical world and the energetic patterns behind it. Through teaching, speaking, and remote sessions, Ana Maria's profound connection with the natural world sources her in helping others understand the spiritual messages coming from the animals in nature. She guides others in unpacking their intuitive skills so that nature can speak more clearly through them. Ana Maria is also a certified intuitive strategist and a Sacred Stories luminary. She serves on the faculty of Academy for the Soul, and you can learn more about her at intentiontraining.com. And we welcome you to the Fox Den, Ana. Hi, Ana. Welcome.
Great music.
Have the best time. I've already been having the best time in the green room.
I know you're over there dancing away and laughing and giggling, having a grand old time. Oh my God. Have you been having that special tea we were talking about? No.
What would that be? Oh my goodness.
I am in
But
Colorado.
I know
Okay.
I know you
Canada.
got my little joke here down to earth. I'm like, ha! I thought that was great. I really did because
I'm
she's
in a
all
really
about
that.
yes, connecting with nature and animals. And when you read this book, you know what? It's coming up. Facebook user I love. So I don't know who that is.
I'll tell you.
You're gonna have to type in your name so I know who you are. I don't know why it does that sometimes, but this book is fun. It's at the beginning. It's in the Common Sentience. There's a bunch of these books out, and this one features Anna Maria, and it's like and I love your nice little note on there. Thank you so much. I was like, oh, I love that. Sometimes I just get the book and I'm like, I always want a little personal something in there. So
Right, you do, exactly. That's what I always think.
yeah. So the first part is understanding the natural world, and then I have you can see all my dog ears. This is like your part, and then it goes into a whole bunch of other people's parts and what they've experienced with connecting with nature. Now, what are we talking about when we're connecting with nature? Everything, every single thing. Elements, water,
Animals,
earth,
water, earth.
air. Yes, all the things, all the elementals, all our animals, all our spirit guides. I mean, this girl, this girl.
she writes about a bunch of this stuff in here, and this is her life. And so that's what I really want to know. I want to start out with, how did you get into this world to begin
Well,
with?
I'm giggling at the kitty cat, right? Because first he's like, Mom, I can't get to my spot. And then you totally, right? We're just their personal assistants. So we
Because
totally,
right now he's scratching himself. Those are my paintings, by the way, in case anybody wants to know.
look at which one he picked. It's beautiful.
And he's I'm not impressed with those. They're good. Oh, they did the ball. But let's just scratch all my cooties all over your paintings, Mom.
And so somebody gets kitty glitter, whichever.
Kitty glitter.
Me and my people, that upset, right? It's like, oh my gosh, it's got cat love on it.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad you can only see the top part of this black jacket, because it used to be nice and black all the way around. Now it's full of biscuit fur. So, I'm turning it into a mohair.
Same, right? I've got black pants on and they're kitten and Great Dane glitter all over them, right? I'm like, I just gotta look good from here up.
I know, that's it. It's like here up, good. The rest of it is fine. Oh, all right. So was that you over at?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay. All right. Hi, Sharon. Welcome to the show. Everybody, please share the show. We are going to be talking about a whole bunch of different things in nature. So again, now I'm going to ask you again, how was it that you got started in this whole nature
connection,
shaman, all of it? How did this start with you?
Like I grew up in, I would say fairly normal, but I know too many friends that would be like, I don't know about that. But like I would have never called myself an animal communicator. I had a profound connection, right? I was the kid. If everyone's in one room and the cat is under the table in another room, that's where I was, right? Or the dog. Or I had a very chaotic upbringing. And so I would run out to the trees a lot, right? And hide under the pines. But I never would have said I was a tree talker or anything like that. I actually always had a huge desire to talk to animals. I always got them, they always got me, but I would have never used that word. And that word didn't even exist when I was growing up, right? Like it was not a job offered on career day. So,
I know people used to say to me, you should be a dog trainer, because I had, a few labs that were just beyond brilliant. And they learned just
because they got you. Yeah, you guys had a connection. And that's it, right? Like those of us who loved animals, you either had to be a vet, you had to be a trainer, or maybe now dog sitter, right? But there just wasn't, maybe a breeder, there just wasn't that many options. No. And so fast forward, right, to about 15 years ago or so, I went through one of those crazy life tsunamis, right? Like where everything falls apart. You lose the relationship, you lose the job, you lose your home. Like everything. There I am, like, soul, right? Yeah, sitting there scratching my sores on the ashes that used to be my life. And I thought, what the hell happened? I did everything I was supposed to do, right? Like to a T. I did everything on the outside looking in. I was well papered. It looked so great. But inside, it was tumultuous. I wasn't happy. I would cry on my way to work. I had a great job, right?
Do you remember what year this was? Sorry to interrupt. Do you remember what year this was?
This would have been in around like 2008 or so. Somewhere in there. All this, you threw me with that question.
Sorry.
No. So I was like, okay, well, I have to rebuild. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this on my terms, because I did everything I was supposed to do. And I still wasn't happy. And I didn't have that connection. And I was like, what's my exit plan? Because this isn't working. I don't like this. This isn't okay. And I don't want to just rinse and repeat and do this again. So I went.
Which so many people do, by the way.
Yeah, right. We do. And
that's insanity, right? It's insane.
I went through it with a girlfriend, and she said, it's too risky to try and follow my own path. I'm just going to go back and get another job, right? And I get it. I understood where she was coming from, but I was like, it is just, the stakes are too high for me now. I'm not going back. So either all these spiritual platitudes that I hear, law of attraction. Either this stuff is real or it's a bunch of hokum designed to just keep us busy till we finally just die, right? And then, okay, all right, if that's it, then I'll know. But I'm going to take this into my living laboratory and I'm going to try out all this stuff. And I mean, I did the meditation and the affirmations and, reading all the books and everything. And I had a mentor, a spiritual teacher who told me to, and I write about this in the book, to go out and put my hands on a tree and talk to the tree, right? Like tell it what's going on for 30 days. And I was a nature lover. So I'm like, oh, easy peasy. And I also have a healthy dose of skeptic. So I was also like, I have a feeling she's just got me doing this because she doesn't know what else to tell me, right? Like I've done all the homework, busy work. And so I said, well, I'll do it. So I went out and I found a tree and I could not believe how uncomfortable I was the first day. I was like, my hands on the tree. I was like, am I touching you inappropriately? Like,
I know, where am I touching you?
I'm like, so I thought, and I thought, what am I going to do if somebody walks up, right? Like, I'm a tree hugger, but this is a little silly. And so I did it, right? I did it every day faithfully for 30 minutes and nothing friggin' happened for the first 3 weeks. And I thought, see, I knew she's like just trying to figure out what to do with me. So she's got me talking to this tree. And on the 4th week, I'm sitting in my house and I asked one of those rhetorical questions. I don't even remember what it was anymore, but one where you ask it out loud. And I heard an answer, like an audible answer. And even though I heard it in the living room, it felt like it came from outside. And I looked because it looked like it came from where the tree was. And I stood up and I went to the window and I said, was that you? And I heard again, yes. And the first thing, first I thought, how the hell did that happen?
Right, I know. Am I crazy? I mean, that's what I would have thought.
The thing you're looking for and you're trying, you want it to happen. And then it happens and you're like, what? And then the next thing that came out of my mouth, again, right? I'm so grounded was, I don't want to be rude, but I asked to talk to animals. I don't know what to do with a talking tree. And it's embarrassing, right, to me to say that now, but the tree chuckled, right? Kind of like your grandpa chuckles at you. And it was like, it's coming. This is a calibration process. We are connecting with trees. The animals will come. And sure enough, within, I want to say 6 to 8 weeks, I had some profound animal experiences happening. And I was like, holy crap. And it's been like that ever since.
This is like I've dealt with, we've had on, animal communicators and such before. Never ever, this is a first, have I had someone that talks to the trees, nature, and have them talk back. This is the first actually that I've heard about, and I've been in this field for a long time. This is the first that I've heard about this as in talking trees. And then, even in the back of the book where you have the appendix area and whatnot, you have what all the trees stand for, tree symbolism. So the aspen, determination, overcoming fear and doubts, transformation, the beech, the birch, the cypress, like all these things for all these different, how old is this knowledge and wisdom? And yes, Mama.
Okay, do me a favor. Tell me what a weeping willow means.
Oh, I love the weeping willow. I love the willow.
You want me to say it, or you want her to look it up?
No, go ahead, say it.
So weeping willow has to do with, it always has to do with magic and the astral realm. So the dream time, it also is very often associated with like the grandmothers, not necessarily, it can be your ancestral grandmothers, but it means like the collective of the grandmothers that is holding us. So that's it. I just got chills when you started asking about that. So whatever.
And I wanted one down. I just cleared my whole banking, and that's all I want down there. I love willows. Always have loved willows. And when I read that magic, learning from the past, inner visions, dreams, emotional balance, I was like, that makes sense. You know, a lot of these symbolisms that you have here, and I like the way that, you know, that you want people to make their own symbolism library, but we'll talk about that after. But I
Not
didn't
gonna buy
know
that book.
this, and this is so, it's fascinating to me because it's stuff that as we're walking through, like these thoughts come to us, just like all our clairs do. You know what I mean? All our clairaudient, clair this, clair, you know, all of them: smelling, seeing, hearing, sensing, whatever. Right? But the nature is talking to us at all times. We just never sat to really listen to where the actual source is coming from.
Ding, 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 right? Like you were surprised. That's it exactly. This is ancient wisdom. We've always known it. We're, as humans, we are nature. We're wired to have this communication. But as soon as we moved out of the woods, right, we forgot. We started to forget it. And it's just like those people who communicate with their animals, right? Whether you would call yourself an animal communicator or not, it's that piece where you have the knowingness, right? I used to think, oh, I'm just brilliant when I go in the woods. It turns out, right, it's ancient wisdom channeling through, and I'm finally listening.
Yep. Right. You're getting bless yous from the
I didn't hit mute fast enough.
Yeah, that is so crazy. So now, okay, now that I totally interrupted you and we went off our topic. So this, your first tree talking to you. Now this back and forth. Now, if you move, can you still communicate with this tree?
So a couple really friggin' cool things, right? Like this is why it's so embarrassing to me that my first response to this amazing tree, who out of all the trees on the property takes the time to talk to a puny human, right? Who doesn't even really believe that anything's going to happen. And I mean, I said I don't mean to be ungrateful. It's kind of like, bless your heart, right? It's like,
so it must love you. It's like, the tree's probably saying, I got to talk to this girl because she's too bloody cute. It might just be inappropriate.
We're all friends here, right? We're all in the same tribe. We can already tell, like, we've known each other for too many lifetimes to let any kind of, you know, big things get in the way and just be ourselves. Like we're all sitting in the kitchen together having drinks.
Exactly. That's it. In a nutshell, that is it. That's what we want this to be like.
Yeah.
You know?
So the tree talking to me was amazing. And then but still, right, I will be the first to admit what a pain in the butt I am. And my poor spirit guides, right? I am always like, yeah, I know. I'm sure nobody can relate. I'm fighting with them all.
I'm just saying, you're in the right show.
Right? I'm in the right place. This is exactly it. And so I was like, yeah, I know what I heard and what I experienced, but so I put this tree through the paces. I started asking it questions and that I didn't know the answers to, right? That I could go get verification. And I really put this tree to it, and it just kept producing and blowing me away. And then I got this hit that I was supposed to move and leave. And of course, it wasn't just Ruby. I had made so many tree friends on this property. And I thought, oh, hell no, I'm not going anywhere. I have talking trees here.
Come here now. Thank you.
Yeah, why would I leave? But it was Colorado that it was being called back to Colorado. And I was like, ooh, that's a big call. And Ruby explained to me, first of all, I can connect you with a tree where you're going to be living. In fact, that's how we'll call in the next place you live. We're going to find a tree that resonates with you and where you're going to be, right? And now that I help people all the time, right? Like they're moving and I'm like, let's get in the sacred circle. Let's get the trees from the new place you're going to live. And then like when I arrived at the place that I was moving to, again, sight unseen, and I walk up and I see the tree. I mean, there's a lot of trees on this property and I see the tree. Her name was Alice. And I was like, I know you. I already know you. So it was like having a friend already when you got there. So it's amazing what the trees can share with us, how they want to help us, how really they want us to remember, right? They really want us to remember this connection, because when we remember this, right? Like I walk on the earth very differently after that experience.
Yeah.
Than than I used to. And I was a lover of nature. Again, just like I loved animals, but it went to a different level now that they boss me around all day long.
Who rules the house? Yes. Mary Jane has a genuine question. How did you know it was the trees and not a spirit guide, etc.? Sorry.
Right. Absolutely. No, that's a great question. And I'm going to even take that deeper, because how do I know that it was the tree and not one of the nature spirits that are associated with the tree, right? And then there's like all these friggin' levels of other, there's so much going on.
Yep.
It really is a blessing that we can't see it, because it would be so distracting to us in our everyday life. So I have a very deep connection with my spirit guides, and I call them my cosmic committee, right? And so it's got angels and ascended masters and some colors and some sounds and some sacred geometry that sit on this. And it wasn't any of those voices. It was a voice that I hadn't heard before. And like I said, it was audible and outside of my head. So it wasn't my thinking voice, like when you read
you know your own thoughts and stuff.
And sometimes, you do get your cognizant messages in your own thinking voice, but this wasn't like that. It was outside, and it felt like it came from that tree. And
you asked it questions. So what
right, yeah. So I already had a relation, or I already had a connection, even if I didn't know that I had a connection. And it was that knowing, for me, it's that claircognizance where I knew it wasn't a nature spirit. I knew it wasn't one of my spirit guides. I did to say, okay, maybe I've lost it, right? Like I've been through a lot. Maybe I just finally have the break. And fortunately, right, I had worked in higher ed, so I had a lot of connections with really good mental health professionals, and I knew the signs to be watching for, right, with a psychotic break. So I'm very realistic in my things, right? Like I don't want people to just be lunatics out there, right? Like this is a serious connection to the divine and being guided, and messages that come from the divine through the animals in nature, it's always loving. They're never going to beat you up. They're never going to ask you to be violent to anyone, or even if it's convoluted and it's like, oh, you're going to bring good by doing that. It would never, ever be like that. And those are the first litmus tests that you want to check. No message from a true light source will ever have any kind of negative connotation. And right, like I know what my normal thoughts sound like. Yeah. So
that's good. That's a good analogy there, because it's so true.
That's kind of like where I live. I'm in the country, and the property beside us, 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, I used to go into the woods and just sit and be and talk and listen. And what I did, I was at my day job one day, and then my lunch hour was between 12 and 1. And around 12 o'clock, 12:15, I started feeling uneasy. And then at 12:30, I don't know why I even looked at the clock, but I got this sharp pain in my heart. But not like it was my pain. Like it was somebody else's pain. And I was like, I'm an empath, and I'm all those, fun woo-woo things. And I get home, and I noticed, I have been told that the property had been sold, but I noticed that they were starting to cut down trees.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked my husband, I said, when did they start cutting down the trees? He says, the first one was about 12:30. He says, I was watching the lunchtime news, and I knew exactly what it was.
Yep.
And I, in my all smartness, went to the window in this office, it was my bedroom at the time, and I opened up the window and I said, okay, guys, I know you guys are not very happy because they're taking down your home, because I'm talking to the wood spirits. I said, you can come in here and stay with me for a little while. Big mistake. See that orange cat? He had full company the whole house. He stopped going into, he came running out of the bathroom one time like he was being shot at. And then I thought, okay.
Let's never invite things into your house. Just saying this, just in general.
No, I learned.
Do not invite anything into your house. Okay.
Yeah, I learned that.
They belong in nature.
But I was like,
I know, right? It makes sense because we're like, oh, come
because you're like, Yeah.
So
the
I had a
empath is
conversation
like
with them
late
that night, and I said, "Okay, guys, you can stay here. Just stay in this room. Do not scare my cats.
And
That's
don't
weird.
chase the
Henry,
cat.
don't chase the cat. It's weird. Don't chase the cat. Leave my cats alone. Otherwise, you will leave right away." So about 6 months later, everything had calmed down. The building had been built, and everything was good. And I went back and I opened that window, and there's a screen. So normally I leave the screen closed, but I opened the screen. And I went, "Okay, it's time for you guys to leave." And that next morning, everything was calmer. The cat went into the bathroom, and he's like looking in the bathtub, like,
waiting,
nobody,
waiting.
like, fine.
Right.
So, but since then, everything's been fine. I learned you don't just willy nilly invite anybody into your house.
No matter how, and it's true in our energy field too, right? Like, especially those of us who are the high sensitives, we do it because we want to help, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't end up helping us, right? So we got to have those boundaries and just send the love out to them, right? Like, we can't take it on. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help them. But it's
I mean, I was a Reiki practitioner then, but it was like,
if you're not grounding and shielding on a daily basis, this stuff will whap you at all times because you're open to it, because, you know, we are empathic. Who
taught us this, right? Like, in my house, we didn't talk about this stuff, right?
Oh,
We talked
not in my house
people
either.
talk about this stuff, but it wasn't always nice the way, and we prayed for those people, right? But we didn't, no one was talking about it. But once I started talking about it, I started finding out stuff about my family and my lineage. It turns out there's all sorts of people who can see spirits in my family. My great grandmother was a seer. I'm pretty sure my mother and my grandmother are seers, but they're very involved with the church, so they call it other stuff. For me. So, but all of these pieces, as soon as I started talking about it, it was okay, right? We all have that Shonda, those family secrets, and there's no reason for it, right? Like, this is who we are as humans, these abilities, and it's such a gift, and we have shut ourselves off, and we've cut off so much of the joy that is involved with that.
Right. But now, as a paranormal investigator, which I am, and it's like, I think that when you start doing that and you start doing it all the time, it's like, it's kind of a progressive thing that you get more in tune to everything else, the spirits and everything else that's around you. And then, it's I'm at this place where I'm kind of like a torn thing, because I know that the spirits are there. I film them, I record them, I've got pictures of them, video, audio, all this stuff, you know what I mean, all the time. And it's like, sometimes I can see them, a lot of times I can hear them, a lot of times they will play a movie in my head. These types of things happen. And I always went at the beginning, I always shut that off. I didn't want that part of it. I just wanted the, I have
the data, the science.
Yes, this. It's like, don't show you something. My ears are going crazy right now, right? And I'm just like, I'm not that way anymore, and you guys know it, so stop it. All right, but it's like, I was very, very, I don't want to see it. I'm afraid to see it. I'm like this, that, But then it's like, okay, the more things you accept, the more things, it's like, you keep stepping in, and you find out more, and you find out more, and you find out more, and that there is so much. We will never, ever know everything of what is going on so many levels, in so many, dimensions, and everything else that is all around us. And like you said, thank God we can't see this, because we'd all be locked up, honestly, we'd just be throw away the key time.
But it is so cool, right? Like, I love hanging out in that spot where science meets spirituality, because it is cool that we can record these things, right? Like with the rocks, the whole section on the rocks. Rocks are electromagnetic beings, right? And they're a piece of Mama Earth that it still contains all of it, just like us, right? They are putting out a particular frequency. Yeah.
We use these, daily we make these grids. We have like Athena, who's not going to be here, guys, tonight. I'm sorry. Athena brings us all these crystals every week of what they do and how we can use them in our lives. And you talk about it, bathing with the crystals and such.
I'll do a mini reading at the end where we'll have everyone pick, right? And I'll do some stuff so everybody can leave with a reading. That way in honor of Athena.
Very nice.
Awesome. That's great. All right, wait, I'm getting behind on these things here. It's unnerving because there's the stigma of it is usually negative. So then you start worrying about the bad stuff coming through. That is true. Facebook user, I don't know who you are. I do.
Holly Cataldo.
Oh, hi, Holly.
Well, there's two things there. The first thing is the more that you lean into it, and it's not that you have to say, I believe, right? Like, but you could go, I wonder if, right? Like, that's all you have to do is I wonder if, and open up to that possibility. And then it builds the muscle. And each time that you have an experience and you believe as much as you can, right? And okay, maybe that is a possibility. It builds that muscle more and more. And in terms of, high vibrations, low vibrations, or positive, negative, whatever people want to call it, right? It's all there. All of it is there all the time. I am very clear every day in my life and every moment that I have zero interest in anything dark or negative or low vibration. I'm not even curious. Right. I don't want to see it. When I feel things, right? Because I've got some great ghost stories, right? Like, and fun ghost stories too. And the spirits have bought me drinks before. And so very wonderful, very handy too when you forget your wallet. I'm never interested if it's a low vibrational spirit. So I call it my security detail, right? It's my guides that are on the team, and I have them check, like when I feel something come in, and I said, y'all need to check with the bouncer. If that is a low vibration, it's got to go. I'm not
right. I understand that because I hear that low tone. I hear the 3 tones, high, medium, and low tone. If I hear that low tone, and we take people ghost hunting, if I hear that low tone and there's these new people never been ghost hunting, I definitely steer clear of that, and then in my mind, I will be telling it, you're not
welcome. You can't go. You can't attach to any of these unwittingly people.
All of that, and then later on I will tell them because I don't want to freak people out, but it's a good,
it's energetic hygiene. It's just like you don't go ask for financial advice in the bus station, right? Like you just you don't do that. It's energetic hygiene. And it's just like when we're talking about all the animal hair, right? It's just like that. All the energy will collect. You gotta use your cosmic lint brush, right? And get that.
Right. Yeah.
And an energy has to, if you ask it, are you of the light? It has to answer you. And usually they just will take off because they're like, oh crap. It's just like when someone's trying to scam you on the street, right? It's the same thing.
Yep. And you, and we always tell people too, and you're stronger, you are the living, right? You have the power. You have
Stop
the
strength. Your power away, right? Exactly. I'm not going to not play interdimensionally because there's some bad neighborhoods, right?
No.
Right? Yeah, because in that realm you have the power. I'm not saying that the bad things can't happen because they can. However, but when you're strong-willed, strong mind, strong intent, all those things, you have the power. And you can keep those things away. Now I got to read this here. Because Susan wrote, on my boyfriend's family property, there was a group of trees that had a fairy gate between 2 of them. It had a dead tree next to it. They wanted to remove the dead tree, which the land was fine with. But I said, don't take any others. Well, they did, and a sinkhole opened up under one of the bucket truck's tires. Now that is karma, right? There you go.
I had a situation with a tree, a friend of mine, when the trees first started talking to me. I was over at his place and I was saying something about this one particular tree. And he goes, oh, I can't stand that tree. I think I'm going to cut it down. And I said, oh, that is not a good idea, right? Like you're on your path, but I don't think that's a good idea. So the next day he goes out and sap all over his window. It was hysterical, right? He was like, well, maybe
I had to. Getting into this house is over 100, like 100 years old, and it was like secret garden in the back. I mean, it was like overgrown craziness, and nothing made sense. So I did have to get rid of all the stuff. And then there was a ton of dead trees, and then big dead trees leaning towards the house. So I had to take them down. And that happened at the beginning, And then there was one ginormous tree on the end, and it wasn't dead, but it was just huge. And I said, should I take that down? I'm like, no, I'm going to leave it. It's big. And then it died. And I mean, and this thing was like treacherous, dangerous, and it kept dropping branches. And it was like, it would turn into sawdust. So I just had this removed. I paid a lot of money too. And they didn't even know how, because their bucket wouldn't go up. Their bucket goes up 60 feet and it wasn't high enough. They had to go down the hill, rope it onto another big tree, which I would love to go down and try to communicate with, to say, do you mind them that they did that? Or do you realize that you saved, the day by putting yourself out there like that? But this thing, it was just so massive. I was at a wedding when it happened. They were supposed to do it during the week, and they hemmed and hawed all week while I was here. And of course they do it the day I'm away. However, I did post it on Facebook, and they did do a live when they were doing it.
Yeah.
So big. And that everyone in the neighborhood came over and told me later it sounded and felt like a bomb went off. It was so big and so heavy. I mean, you couldn't put your arms around this tree. It was how big it was, And when it came down, and then the second time, the second huge part that they brought down, I was sitting in my little nook area in my kitchen, and I'm talking to my neighbor who's skittish. All right, anyway, right? So she's in here with me. We're just talking, having coffee, and the thing went boom, and it shook the house and everything. She screamed, jumped up, almost spit out her coffee. And I was like, oh, the tree. And then she's like, oh my God, that's what that was. And it did. It shook the house and everything. That's how big this thing was. But it was so dead. And I never thought, I wish I had this interview before that happened, because I would have loved to try to,
Well, and I will tell you, I mean, everything you're saying, like, it's like that earpiece thing where I'm getting, yes, she's right on. And they're reminding me, I did a session for someone who had a tree, right? And it had been struck by lightning, but the arborist thought, well, it's still alive and you got a long time before it's going to pose a problem. But it was right over some children's bedrooms, right? And so I talked to the tree, and the tree was like, oh my gosh, I would never want to harm a child.
Right. Oh, you froze. But yeah.
Do have an understanding, right? They ask that we do it in an honorable way. They ask that we, bring consciousness to it, but they understand, right? Like, they understand the circle of life way better than we do. And they're not trying to rush anyone into anything.
Yeah. Right. Oh, it did. I hate to knock down trees, because I'm always bitching about people wiping out the forest and all this stuff.
When I'm not cutting them down.
Yeah. When I left my house in Oxford, I bought the house because it was like on top of a mountain, and it had a great property. It was, set way back, all the forest. They said, no one will ever build next to you because that land won't perk. And come to find out later on, 2 guys owned it. One guy was politically connected, and the other guy finally sold his part to them. And then lo and behold, everything perks, right? So there's politics involved in
everything.
Right? Yeah.
Can
so
I just say something quick?
Yeah.
The thing I love about this show is that we share so much knowledge that people don't have. Story that I told before, like you said, it's something that people should not do. Everything that you're telling people about speaking with the trees, with nature, this is things that people don't get as everyday conversations. So this is, if y'all aren't listening and y'all aren't sharing it, get over there, share it, because this is important. There's a lot of lessons in this show. So, okay, now I'm shutting up.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I was freaking out because it was like right before winter. I had 2 fox families that would come into my backyard that I fed and everything, and I loved them. My deer, because I had an apple tree back there. The deer would come through. All the squirrels, everything. That lived in that forest. And it's winter starting. Massachusetts, top of this hill. If they said Oxford's getting 5 inches of snow, we were getting 10 plus, because that's where I was on that elevation. Right. So it's cold. It's snowy already. They come in and they start knocking down trees. And like Mama D was saying about her heart, I was like, I heard the noise. I said, what the hell is that? And I felt the same thing in my chest. Like, what the hell? I took my phone. I ran outside. I'm thinking, something is going on bad in the woods. They had this thing I've never seen before. It was this machine that they were driving through the woods that had a big handle, like it grabbed the tree, and this giant wheel, right, that was spinning upright would turn sideways and go whoop through the tree in seconds, and then they slammed the tree down with that arm. I'm like, a bird doesn't even have time to fly off a branch. I'm just like, I am mortified in my yard. I think I went live freaking out like, who is doing this? And right before winter, and what about the animals in their homes? And they just built their nests. What are they going to do? I was a bloody mess. It's like, oh my God. And it was just horrible. And then they didn't even do anything until springtime, to come in and take anything else. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? What is wrong with people that they would do something like that?
Well, we forget, right? The reason that you both felt it in your hearts is because we're all connected, right? Mm-hmm. It's unity consciousness. It's when we forget that we are all connected that we behave like that, right? It's so unconscious. And, I mean, I know that I've had to reconcile in my life places that I was just unconscious. You don't know what you don't know. But once you know, you can't unknow it. And it is very difficult. So when those kinds of things are happening, right, whether it's with plants or landscapes or animals or whatever, and we're in that place where there's nothing that we can do, or we think there's nothing we can do, breathe, first of all, right? Stay connected to life force energy and send love. I will often tell, that being or those beings what's happening, so that they have so it's been explained, at least this is what they can experience, is what they're going to, vibrations, smells, as much as I can explain what it would feel like with the saw kind of thing, to let them know, and to let the trees around them know. And I do that too with folks, because there's a reason, a disease or a dead tree that's got to come down, and we talk to the other trees so that they know, oh, don't worry, we're not, because they're always worried, like, oh boy, what are these humans up to now, right? Nobody else is going to get any, this is just this tree, and we're going to do this, or even if you're pruning, right? It's like a haircut. It's not like you're harming it, but you walk up to someone and start cutting their hair. So,
and then I liked how you talked about someone was asking one of the trees about the fruit, so, I mean, but if you do, like when I had that apple tree, I learned how to prune the apple tree, nothing crossing, all that kind of stuff. And then your apples produce more. So the tree would be thankful, I would think,
Well, they have evolved over time, right? Where they do these things to attract animals, we're animals, to eat their fruit, right? Because that's how their seeds get spread. This is what propagates them. They're using us, right? Like to do the heavy lifting. And so there's never a problem, because that's the first thing that I hear from, people who are like, well, so then as a vegetarian, you can't eat plants because you're killing them. Well, first of all, perhaps, but there are plenty of things, if you're that concerned, and they're not concerned, right? They're just being facetious. But I do know people who are that concerned, and there are nuts and seeds and berries and fruits and all sorts of vegetables that the plant bears, that when you pick it, it doesn't kill the plant. And it's fruit. And so, whether it's a vegetable or whatever. So snarky people, right? Like, gotta love them, but there is something to say. And
you're gonna bitch about everything and anything.
And with
can't please everybody.
How am I, am I getting plants that were cared for and the earth was cared for, or am I getting stuff that everything was sprayed and they have no regard for any of it, or the workers or any of that? Like, this whole life consciousness comes into view.
Exactly. However, we have to eat.
Kind of like, yeah, but it's kind of like this question that Mary Jane put in. What would you suggest if we use use heating wood?
We do, right? I live way up in the mountains, and it snowed today, so we do, and we personally, right? It's all about consciousness. There are things you have to do, and there's a circle of life too. But like for us, we buy firewood that has been beetle killed, so it's already dead. It's been dead and it's being harvested, and to help with fire mitigation, but dead trees, not taking down live trees. So we do that, and we honor the trees and the wood and all of that. It all is, you know, and we're not wasteful. So there's this whole attitude that you bring that's different. And it's not about being worried about getting it right. It's just about honoring life.
I mean, you pick up a piece of paper and a tree sacrificed its life so you can have this paper. You know what I mean? It's just like it's everywhere. Your house is built. It's sticky.
The giving tree, right? Think about the book. It's exactly like that. The tree gives and gives and gives. And all they're asking is that we be conscious when we do these things. Of course, we got to live on the land and we do what we need to do, but we could do it with different intention, right? Like intention is our superpower as humans, and forget it.
Right. Darian, we love Darian. Darian lives in her own world, in her own realm. I've got a whole series of her books over here. Oh my God, the best books ever. I will show you all those books. Like maybe after I get the break, I'll bring them over here to show you because they're crazy. But she said, I've always talked to plants, animals, trees, flowers, everything. I thought it was weird, but I didn't care. I love her. I just love her.
We're in the weird crew, so you're good there.
She has her.
And it turns out our weirdness is our wonderfulness, right? Like that's what really, that's our portal. That's our connection. That's it. That's what makes it worth it, right? So
you got to be open. You got to be open. If you're going to be in this field, in any realm in this field, you got to be open to learning. You know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Right? It's not. But if you try it, you know, don't knock it till you try it, because then, you know, like she did, she went out there and she did it. She talked to that tree and all of a sudden it talked to her. And there's a whole ton of people in here too that had similar experiences with many different things, which is really, really cool, people. Let me put up this picture here real quick.
It's that 4-minute mile piece, right? Like no one could run the 4-minute mile till someone did. And that was the thought of, right? Like we're trying to bring out this mysticism and bring it mainstream. So yeah, I can talk about it. And people will be like, oh yeah, she talks to trees. So easy for her to write a friggin' book about it. But what am I supposed to do? But then there's like 30 stories, short stories in there about these profound experiences these everyday folks had. And it reminds us that if I can do it, you can do it too, right? Like I feel like the poster child for that all the time. And I have to tell you, I have a lot, right? Like my friends who I grew up with that aren't necessarily tree talkers and animal communicators and psychics. They may not even have any crystals, right, in their house. But they've been reading the book, and almost every single one of them has had a separate story where they're like, I didn't even get through the first section without having, they called it weird.
Aha moment. Yep. I get it. You know, the same thing with paranormal. I talk about paranormal and like, oh, I don't believe in ghosts, but this happened. And they have a story, you know, but okay, but they don't believe in ghosts.
The ghosts don't need you to believe in them. Don't worry.
No, they really don't. And nor do elementals or all these things too. Now, a lot of people will go, okay, well now, all right, I believe in spirits, but I'm not going to believe in those. You know, I'm not the elementals, you know. And it's like, well, what would be the difference? Do you believe in spirit guides? Do you believe in angels? Do you believe, you know, then why wouldn't you believe in fairies? Why wouldn't you believe in gnomes or wood nymphs or anything else of you know, the such? But again, you know, you list these things in here too. You know, what is associated with each element, you know. So
that was my favorite thing, because right, like my favorite book, you know, Ted Andrews was like my guru, and unfortunately he passed before I learned about all this stuff. because otherwise, right, he would have never got rid of me. First of all, I would have camped out in his backyard or something. But that kind of book, right, like The Animals Speak, where you've got the symbolism and it shows you, some ideas, that was important to me to include. And so, like you said, in the back, in the appendix, there's the different symbolism for different, just a few, not all of them, but the rocks, plants, and
what they all what's associated with them, and it's too the landscapes, what's associated with the landscapes, between oceans and oh my god,
deserts.
Beach, deserts, lands, rivers, meadows, forests, mountains, you name it, there's something that's associated with it, and you list these things, and it's just like, again, you read them, it's things that we know, things that but
you don't know,
until you read it and you go, oh, I get it. Oh, okay, so that's why.
True. Or you're like, I think I knew that, just intuitively knew that.
Right. I love stuff like that when you just read and just go, oh, I get it. And then also, it's not, and then again, it's you have this first section, which is super cool, super cool, my favorite part of the book by far, and then all the people's stories, and then in the end you have these where you can put this into practice. So you can, like we talk about grounding all the time and tree hugging and, things like that, so we discuss that a lot, but you have, you call it like the earthing, right? So you have stone sitting and gazing, you have forest bathing, sacred herbal stone bath, intentional tea time. I like that. Natural hot springs, dowsing. I want to talk about dowsing. The medicine wheel, again, I want to talk about that too. Bring nature home and study sacred geometry. So like all these things are things that you can do, and all of us can do this very easily. But dowsing, now, I've used dowsing rods, communicate with spirits with dowsing rods. I've known people to go out to use the dowsing rods to find the water and things like that. Again, you got me again with this thing. Never have I ever, and I'm not playing a game, I'm not doing drinking, never have I ever heard of a person being the dowsing rod, like leaning forward for yes or back for no.
Oh, yeah.
Never. I was like, Lord again. So,
well, for me personally, I had been teaching muscle testing and dowsing to people, and then all of a sudden during my development, it went away. I couldn't use it. Like I would get the wonkiest answers, and I was like, what the heck? And I'm like, again, complaining to my team, like, this isn't fair. Why would you take it away from me when I teach it to other people? And they're like, if you'd shut your trap for 2 seconds, we could tell you, right? Like, and they're like, it's too slow. You're in training to be able to do really quick, paying attention to your claircognizance, really laser quick readings. And when you got to get out your freaking pendulum or your rods or even muscle testing, it's slowing you down. So do you want to go to the next level or do you not want to? And then I shut up and I listen for a while.
Trust.
Eventually, I do listen.
I love it.
We arguing that went on about this book with my team, right?
Sometimes, I mean, it is the way it is, I mean, you gotta prove it to me, and then it's like,
one more sign.
One more, and then I'll go. Really, I'll put this. Here's my pendulum. Okay, it's jade. It's nice. All right, but I will put it down if you prove to me that I can do something else. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay. And it's how it is. It's evolution, And I think, how do you think we're all going to evolve, like as a species, in say the next 100 years?
Well, I think to me the most exciting thing is all the stuff that technology can do is really a pale comparison to what my team has told me and I've heard from others that we can do, right? Like all of it is, like the internet, the wood wide web, that fungi and the mycelium underground, they have been doing that already. They've been passing messages around the planet forever. And we just figured that out recently, right? And so for us to learn to really connect in and follow the signs and symbols, I think that's what's going to create the difference for us. And the more people that do it, and I've experienced this in my own life, then it allows all of us to up level to that next piece, whatever that means for us, right? Like, I don't think teleportation is out of the question.
Well, they've been doing that for real.
Right, exactly. And then, like with the stones, to be able to shape them, like it's liquid plasma or something. I think that these are the things, and using sound and sacred geometry, I think we're going to remember how to harness this. And I think some people will choose not to for whatever reason. But I think that there will be enough of us that will choose to, because how fun is that, right? Like it's just now getting interesting.
I think that all our answers, and I've always said it, are in nature. Like all our energy problems can be solved with harnessing the ocean and the tides. We can track the tides. We have tide charts. That's massive energy source, predictable. And if you can tap into that, that would free up all our other resources that we're killing our planet over. And I really think that we do need to save our forests, and I think the Amazon forest and things like that movie that Sean was in a long time ago, that the medicine man there, the cure for cancer is out there. It could be that one flower, but there comes the people wiping out all the trees, with just no care. We were born to live with nature. I mean, it's supposed to be one unified thing, and then we
got too big for our britches.
Yeah, right. And then just said comfort, overcame everything else.
And right, like when we were in our tribes, and we had tribes all over the world, right? We were in our stone circles, we were outside, but we also had typically, the one medicine man or woman or shaman that did the listening for the tribe. And we're at a point just by our population where that's not feasible, right? To have that one, it really becomes where we all need to become our own shamans and be in the listening and learn about be our own herbalists and work with the plant medicine. And it's not that Western medicine isn't great. It's phenomenal at the pieces that it does, diagnostic, acute things, right? Great. Yeah. But there's so many things that if we worked with the plants first of all, prepare our bodies better to respond when we really do need something. And, all just the way we would be with the planet would be very different. Will be very different. Let me change that. It will be.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to that question I was asking. Where do you think we're going to be evolving to? Because every time I have a psychic on and stuff, and we're connecting, to places, with shows like this, with things, the internet and everything else, connecting with all these souls all over the world. The veil is thinning. The metaphysical power is definitely gaining momentum, gaining strength. It's starting to penetrate Western medicine. Like before it was like, oh hell no, right? And now it's like, oh well, you can go to the homeopathic and work with that, chemo patients and stuff, go get this, go get that, they're working back and forth. Instead of putting people on hormones, go work with a homeopath, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit more acceptable now, but I hope in the future that it will get
and when we need guidance, right? So we're up against something medical, right? Like there's so much fear in all of our systems, and you go in and I mean, it feels like, oh my gosh, if I don't do something right now, it's amazing I made it here without dying, right? And we don't take a moment to breathe. But the trees taught me something. This is really strange. But in my Trees as Messengers course, I call it the module, what men and dogs do instinctually, even though they don't know what it means. So the trees taught me, if you've got something going on in your body, right? Like you got some health challenge, you don't know what's up, or you do know what's up and you don't know what to do, go pee on a tree. So, so those of us who don't have external plumbing, right? You squat next to the base of the tree. And I've got some clients who have peed in their bathroom and taken it out in a container, right? So their neighbors don't think they're complete rats. I fortunately live in a place where I don't have any neighbors, so I can do whatever I want. So I always have to come up with, how are you going to adapt this if you live in an apartment? But you you drop off your lab test, right? What do you do when you go to the doctor? You pee in the cup and they run it through their lab. Here, nature is doing it, and you do it with intention, right? You connect with the tree. You first breathe, right? Because life force energy, and when we're taking deep breaths, we're connected. In our conscious intent with our breath activates the heart coherence, which creates the bridge into that quantum field, which is where we can do all this stuff anyway. So you want to do that first, right? Take some deep breaths, connect, and then say, whatever, right? Like, I don't know what's up, or I do know what's up, and now I'm afraid and I don't know what else to do. I need some guidance. I need some wisdom. Drop off your urine test. And then I am in the listening, because sometimes I'll just get from the tree, like, come back tomorrow, or I'll go see those trees over there. And sometimes it's in the same time.
And again, you have the tree list in the back of the thing, so you know which tree to drop your pee off at.
I actually do it more based on the, like, which one do I feel led to do it by? But you're right. You could double that with, right? I'm going to do this by an aspen tree because I need transformation, or I'm going to do this at a pine tree because of the healing aspects that pine bring in, or, whatever it is, or I need a friggin' miracle. I'm going to do it with the weeping willow because the doctors are saying good luck. And so then you come back. And if you don't get anything, right? Like, yeah, I've got the 2-way down pretty good. But if you don't get anything, then just come back the next day. And you don't have to pee on the tree again, but you just meditate, probably someplace other than where you peed, around the tree. But I feel like you need to have your hands on the tree, or your back up against the tree, because you're going to, you're already in the tree's auric field, just being in the drip line of a tree. So that's good. But you're like making the connection, right? If you're sitting and your tailbone is connected, or your back, right? With all those nerves, your central nervous system, the information superhighway in your body connected, you're more likely to get one of the impressions, right? And that's where, in that first section of the book, where I talk about, and I take you through, how are you going to know if something's talking to you? And I show the different ways you might get it. So that would be the place. And it may just be something simple as, you spend some time with that tree, you go back in the house and you have one of those insights like, oh, maybe I should look into mushrooms, like, oh, I never thought about turkey tail for a tumor, or whatever. Or you go in the house and you see an email. To me, my team works to me that way a lot, right? Like something will show up, and it may not be that I do that thing, but it confirms. Oh, yeah, cordyceps or whatever.
I know. Isn't it funny? Like I'll get like that message, like a message from who knows where, right? And it will be something I don't know what it is, and then I'll look it up and I'll be like, oh, I need that, and I'll be like, thank you, from wherever. Yeah, mama, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Not anymore, okay? Okay, just for everybody who wants to get the book, intentionaltraining.com. I'm sure you can find it on Amazon. Probably go to your closest bookstores, ask for it to be brought in. Get the book. Even I have to go buy the book now, okay, people? So
you have the PDF.
You don't have to buy the book. You just have to send me your address. You're in.
But it's like, we need, this is.
You had me when I met your cat yesterday.
Yeah. You mean Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah. All right.
But
intention.com, not intentional. Intention.
People like raising their hand. I don't like, because when I interrupt people, then I cut off conversations. If y'all see my hand up, then somebody knows to be like, okay, Mama's talking. But go check out her website. I've put the links in for the website, and I put the links in for her Facebook. Go check it out.
I've been putting these comments up on here and not reading them, and I do want to go through these real quick, because Darian said, like my dad would say, and then some idiot invented the wheel, right? That my father used to say that all the time. And then whenever we were frustrated with how things were going, in other words, we were put on a path of we were put on the path of much more abilities and gifts, and that is so true. And then, all right, so then Mama Cat, we love you. Mankind has taken the knowledge of the ancients and corrupted it with too many chemicals. And she said that's just her opinion, and that is true. Loki is putting up
there for us too, right? Like those food colorings and those preservatives and the weird shit they put in food that's not food. It acts as neuro scramblers, and so you're not even going to be straight on your own thoughts, let alone if there's a divine message coming in, or if your grandma's trying to talk to you, or the tree, or your dog, or whatever. Like I cannot give a bigger endorsement for an organic, natural, plant-based diet where the plant intelligence is actually amplifying all of your abilities. So if I need to get real clear, I'll do like a serious raw diet for a couple days. I'm not crazy. I won't do it forever, but I'll do it for a while, so that all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like someone turned on the lights and I can see.
Yes. TSP and cereal. TSP as in what I used to use to take paint off the walls. TSP. Yikes. It's crazy. Yeah, and I wonder why
they just said yesterday, I read an article 30 years ago, they took that red number, whatever, the red dye out of makeup because it was carcinogenic. And then they were supposed to go over and do that to food, so it wasn't in any of our food. They still haven't done it. It's been 30 years, and it's in candy, it's in regular food, it's in medications. ADHD drugs are coated in it. And the funny thing, not funny, is that the effects of that red dye as a neurotoxin is the same issues that you're trying to treat with ADHD, which is also, I would try some other ways to do it.
I love that when the commercial comes on TV and it's like, take this for depression, but it may cause depression.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Suicidal thoughts. If you have suicidal thoughts.
Because if you listen to the advertisements on any kind of medication, they get like, okay, this will cure this, but these are the side effects, and the list is like this breaking and death. It's like, okay, you know what? I'll deal with a little bit of pain I got, not all the side effects.
Yeah. It's like as soon as you mention the word death, you know what I mean? They'd be like, no. Why?
If I took all the plants at once, I'm not going to die.
It's crazy. If you listen to Mother Nature, you can do everything from knowing what your weather will be to helping arthritis and soothing fevers. Just have to listen to her. That is so true. That's what she does.
Mama Cat.
Yeah, I love me some Mama Cat.
Yeah, me too. And she's so wise. She always has the best comments and everything else up there too. She's just definitely a wonderful soul, and very in tune. And we love that. Hi, Mama.
Which mom?
You. You look like you were zoning.
I'm reading, checking, and
gonna throw you off. But all right, we are at. I'm not going to play a ad or anything. I think we're just going to keep talking, if it's okay with you.
Oh no,
please, the commercials.
No. I want to ask you though about going back to elementals, and do you mind if I say what
read away.
Well, I'm not reading from the book. I took notes. Okay, so I had to type it so I can read it. So yeah, see, my mind works faster than my hand can write, and then I'm like, what the hell did I just write? Because I can't read it, so I have to type it. But you talking about elementals, all right? So the earth is associated with gnomes, brownies, dryads, pans, elves, and more. All right, now what good and how can we use them, to call upon these spirits?
So there's so many different ways that we don't even think about, right? Like, so of course, if you're doing anything in your yard, call on them, right? Include them in the meetings where maybe inspiration, or what does the land want to do, or how could you help us do this easier? But there are other things, right? Like, so I'm thinking mushroom hunters, right? This is kind of we're probably just past the season now, but you could connect with some of these different earth spirits, especially gnomes and stuff, to find the mushrooms that you're looking for. You could also, if you're doing certain rock hunting or crystal digging, right? These would be the places that you would want to incorporate them, because they really are the keepers of those. And so if you are, again, what's your intent? What are you trying to do? Is it conscious? Is it unconscious? Those kinds of things. But when we work in synergy with nature and the nature spirits, first of all, it just goes so much better. It ends up working out so much better than we thought. And that abundance piece, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes.
Chaga mushrooms are freaking amazing. Yeah, we have a bunch of pinkies in the yard, and I never even knew what they were, you know. And Bob loves them. When he was a kid, he used to go into the woods, and he and his dad would gather some. And then we went somewhere, and he said, "Oh, those are pinkies. You got to have those in butter, and garlic and butter or something. It's really good." And then he's like, "I've always loved these." Right now, we've got like millions of them in the yard. And he was like,
a gift from his dad. How sweet is that?
I know. Exactly. So you don't have to go looking for them. You have them right here.
And you can call them in, right? You can work with the earth spirits to call them in. I've worked with the earth spirits. We had to relocate some fire ants out of a place that wasn't going to work for us, right? Because fire ants, yikes. And so we worked with the ants, like the leader and the colony, but then I also worked with the earth spirits to help guide the ants where we were relocating them to. So there's also
so where I just had that tree down, and they kept driving back and forth, and actually they cleaned out my whole banking too, because some other trees were knocked down and all the logs were left down there, and I had to get rid of them. And they dragged them up the hill and over, and now I just was dragging leaves and throwing it down the hill, and I noticed all these ants trying to go into where the wood, the dirt is there. I'm like, oh no, go down the hill. Darian says, do I have to focus my conversations to a particular plant, tree, or spirit? I usually talk out loud while outside or when I'm tending to my houseplants.
That's a really good question. And it's typically for each person, it's going to be individual, right? Because we all kind of do it differently, and what feels good for me may not feel good for you. But I kind of do a little bit of both. I kind of I'm just kind of wandering around outside, right? I'm sure I look very crazy. So it's probably fine, because I look like I'm meandering with him and I'm talking out loud, and then I'll feel, almost like we live in a really small town. And so when we walk around downtown, you don't walk far before you see someone, and so you're in a conversation. It's like that for me in the woods, right? And so I'll be talking, just talking out loud to my team. And then I'll be drawn to a particular tree. I have some favorites, right? Because we've got relationships and they've taught me things. And in fact, the trees here are the ones who they took me under their tutelage for 2 years to teach me about tree stuff, right? Trees as messengers. And that's where my Trees as Messengers course came from. So I've got some besties, right? I would call them my besties. I'm that person who, when something amazing happens, I run out to the trees first and I talk to them, and then I text my girlfriends, right?
I love it.
Yeah. So I forgot where we were going with that. Oh, and then I'll be drawn to a particular tree, and then I'll converse with that tree or that rock or whatever it is. But yeah.
That's cool.
Darian.
That's cool. So that's what I do, or talk to the plants while I'm working, what I'm working with at the time. And exactly. That's awesome. That's funny. I would love to be your neighbor. Just that would be so funny, Like, so what's up today with just today?
What are you talking to now? Well, and then, right, I've got
right? Because you have these remote sessions. Can you read or listen or talk to?
Yep, to anything, anywhere, on or off planet, it turns out too, right? So yeah, but then I also got that Music of the Plants machine, right? And this is that part, right, where science meets spirituality. And so it's a device that you hook up to a tree. You put one end in the ground where the roots are, and you put the little clip on one of the leaves. I always ask permission first, right? Tell them what I'm doing. Do they want to do it? Because you can't make them sing. If a tree or a plant doesn't want to sing, you're not going to get anything. It doesn't matter how much science you got going on there. And so I've learned, right? You learn. Oh, maybe I should ask before I do this. Yeah, and I had the first time I was going to share the plant music with my community, I had a little tiny baby sagebrush that was growing right outside right off of our deck. And so I told this little tree or this little sagebrush that was singing like crazy, super loud. And I was like, oh, I'm going to let everybody listen to you. I'm going to turn you down, because I don't want to unhook you right now, but I'm going to turn you down. I'm going to talk to them, and then I'm going to turn you on, and they're going to hear you singing. And this energy of this sagebrush, this baby sagebrush plant was like a 2-year-old kind of, right? Yeah. When they're with you, they're all singing and watch me dance and watch this and watch that. And then somebody comes over, and what do? They hide behind you. So I explain the whole thing to people. I'm like, there's a probe in the ground. There's a clip on the plant. And it's actually reading the bioenergetic field of the plant, and it's translating it into audible tones, because all of the plants are emitting these frequencies all the time, but it's outside of our audible range. So this machine lets us hear it. How cool is that, right? So I explain the thing. I'm telling them all about this plant. I turn it on. You hear one note, and then it goes dead quiet, and it will not play. And I'm like, what is going on? And I got that image of the plant hiding behind my skirt, right? So my partner had to hurry up and change to a little bit older plant that we had outside. But yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. And I've seen a plant in a concert. There are musicians who work with this machine, and the plant learns, right? Like, this is the crazy part. And the people who in Domenher, Italy, in that eco village, who were studying plant consciousness and intelligence, they said the plant understands first that its energy is affecting that and making that noise. Then eventually it learns that it can select multiple notes at a time, and that it can do things. So I've seen a vocalist hit 3 different notes and then watch the plant mimic the same 3 notes repeatedly. And like, at that point I was like, oh, there's so much I don't know. Oh my goodness, this is amazing.
Well, now you can make a language. You know what I mean? You can make an alphabet or whatever. It's like Morse code. You can communicate back and forth that way and say, okay, you can communicate with the rest of the world if let's get our language down.
There is somebody that I've been following who has one of the machines who changed up, like those engineer guys, right? Like, they can never just leave a machine the way that it is. But this is really cool. He changed it to words, different notes to words. So a yes or a no, or different people's names in the house. And the plant would call his wife, who always watered it. And the plant would just randomly call out her name when it needed to be watered, right? We have no clue what plants are capable of and what they could teach us. But we think, right?
My daughter Jax has to watch this show, because she's like plant crazy now. She's got so many plants in her house. She's got them all named. When I went up to watch her house, I had a list she gave me, who to water on what day, and how much and everything else. And, talk to this one, don't talk to that one.
This one's an old grump. This one's very social.
I'm like, okay. So I made sure I did everything to the letter, because she's really anal. I don't know where she got that from. But she would,
I have no idea where she got that from.
If she could get that device, oh, holy hell. That would be great.
I think it's musicoftheplants.com. I might have just made that up, but I'm sure if you type that in, you'll see it. And they show like these great videos or this timeline from when these researchers were looking at this, right? Like, and they made a little remote control car that the plant moved itself. I mean, these guys were brilliant, and they were so connected, and they're still working on it, right? And it's phenomenal. It's just, it's the most amazing thing.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy, because like if we could really get this into words, or create a language that we can convert to words after, or even whatever, the conversations we can have from trees as to what happened in this area and could change history, you know.
Or if people just believed in their own intuitive channels, and because we find that stuff out all the time, right? How many times have you had a psychic go through a house and everything they get shows up in the measurements, or things like that?
Yeah. So. Yes, Mama.
Okay, I'm sorry. There's somebody in this conversation that has a boy toy. Excuse me, sorry, Bob. That is great with creating things. So maybe Bob can make one for you.
I thought of the same thing while you were thinking of it, because we build paranormal equipment.
Yeah, and it's along the lines of your Echovox. And I'm not the paranormal person. I'm
not an Echovox. It's
okay.
an easy scan, but
scan.
Yeah. It's I'm sure, if I looked at
Bob, hurry up.
Have him work with the dream time, right? And work with the spirit of the plants or the trees or something, like pick one that he's drawn to. And then before he goes to bed, right? Let's work smarter, not harder. You connect with that tree or that plant or whatever guide. And then you ask, this is what I'm looking for. What do I need to know about this? And then go to sleep. And then maybe you'll remember the dream, maybe you won't. But when you ask the question again, I usually say get hydrated first, ask the question again, and just see what comes to mind.
Yeah. Darian says, this is so happy. This is so awesome. I'm so happy I don't have to work tomorrow. I've finally been able to see the whole show. And the show is fabulous. Thank you. And so are you. And then Mama Cat, I don't think everyone has the intuitive mind anymore. It's just been shamed out of so many people. Yes and no. I think again, it's coming back. It's more accepted now than it used to be. It was really shamed.
Everyone has the circuitry for it, but not everyone's got it hooked up or using it, right? Like there are times when I look in people's fields and they show it to me like a circuit box, and some of them look like a brand new show home, and some of them look like, holy shit, how has this person not had a house fire, right? Because like nothing's connected, things that look bare, so.
Oh my God, this is great. But connecting though, like through all our clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance. Right now we do have all these two, like I said, talk to spirits. Like I have claircognizance. I know how to build things, because I was an artist and designer and a builder and all those things, And it's like I would go bid a job and get a job, and they'll be like, well, have you done that before? No. It was, you worried about that? No, because I know it's going to come to me exactly how to do it. And it always did, always does, it's the strangest thing. But hey, my guides are there, and they show it to me, and I see it meticulously, step by step, and I just know how to do it. And I thought everyone was like this, because I've been like this my whole life. And it's not everyone is like this. Like, I'm like, oh really? Wow. Well, how do you figure things out? You actually gotta read a book. You gotta like go to a class. You gotta do it.
Who's got time for that?
No, just do it. Right? It's like figure it out on the spot. Figure it out. Get the answer. Like, well, it's gonna lean. It's gonna fall. Catch it. All right. It's like, don't just stand there and look at it. Catch the thing. I mean, just think on your feet. Yes, creative mind. One thing I would love to do is to walk in someone else's mind. Like I would love to walk in Darian's mind, because her world, I love her dragon-filled, crazy, awesome world. so detailed, so awesome. You
I was gonna say, I think I'd be right at home.
you've gotta talk with Darian. You guys definitely to be using fun. I think Darian could learn stuff from you that she could add into the next book.
Oh yeah, into another book. Ooh.
You know. Thanks, Loki. I know we've been off for what, 3 weeks?
Yep, 3 weeks hiatus.
Yeah.
There was a wedding, then a whole bunch of other stuff, and
wedding.
people canceled, and it's like now all we're waiting for is Halloween to be over, and Gina can sit back and go, breathe for a moment, and then start decorating for Christmas.
And then Christmas.
No, then it's like I gotta go up north, and my daughter might have to have an operation real quick, and I'm like, I don't know. It's like it's crazy stuff. It never ends. It just never ends. It's like gotta be here, gotta do this, gotta do that, But that's life, right? But I kind of lost it. I did. I'm gonna say it. I lost it just last week. I was at the snapping point. It was just too much. I was
Get
just
outside.
over.
Bare hands on, and really, like, you feel like you have a lot of rock energy. So I'd find a rock you could sit on, right, where your tailbone is connected, and just sit there, right, and just be with it. Or just the 3-step process I like to do when that stuff it's up so much, and I can tell, right, like if I don't move this, I'm gonna snap, and it's not nice when I'm nice most of the time.
Yeah,
that happens, I'm not nice anymore. So in that case, for you, I'd sit on the rock, and 3 steps. First, what's up? And you just vomit all of it out. This is going on, and this is going on, and it's one friggin' thing after another, and I can't get a friggin' break. Whatever. Second step, how do you feel about it? Well, I'm pissed off, right? Like I listen to your guidance all the time, and I do everything you want. This is gonna happen, or I work so hard, and my bank account looks like that, or why doesn't my partner? Whatever, right? This is what's up. This is how I feel about it. And the third thing, right? Because we don't want to just keep creating more of the same, or not one friggin' thing after another. That's a great pattern that we can see that, I don't need that one. And so the third step is to stop that and say, in spite of all that nonsense, all that mishigas, my truth is ease and grace, connection, harmony, whatever it is, right? Abundance, or, peace, whatever is what would be if you didn't have that other stuff, call that in. Because what happens is we get down those rabbit holes. We've got like neural pathways, like paths worn into our psyche about this. And so we put out those signals, right? We're electromagnetic beings, and we put out those signals, and then things show up in there. So we just got to stop it. So this is what's up. This is how I friggin' feel about it. And this is my truth instead. And rinse and repeat.
Yep.
If I do it outside, it's way more effective, right? If I do it in the house, my partner will be like,
I had to
twitchy lately. Maybe you should go outside.
Yeah, I've been outside. Like, I had to do all this work for this wedding, and it was an outside wedding, and I had to go set it all up outside and everything. And it was just way too much. I did get very snappy because it just kept pounding more and more on me, and then I knew I had to do the Halloween stuff, and I knew, I have to catch up on everything else in my life, my regular life. And then I still have to make all these boxes. I do all these artistic things for decorating these boxes and everything. And it's a lot of work, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't breathe, So and I was getting very snappy. And then it took Bob's sister Mary, and she pointed it out to me. She's like, "You're even snapping at me." I don't know. She's like, "You want a different kind of medication or something?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." But I get, I'll rant, and then it's like, okay, and I just let it go,
I haven't had a rant audio in a while.
I know I haven't seen my mama. You know what I mean? We haven't been talking because I've been too damn busy, and then it's like, I am so OCD. I can't stop until it's done.
Quick question, Anna. Why did you say she's like connect? You see her as rocks?
Because as soon as I asked, they showed rocks right away instead of a tree or something. Like, all I could see was.
Well, yeah, because I wiped out the trees, so it's all that's left. I can see why. So, but I do like going out and sitting on rocks. I do. I like to sit on the rock and watch the, sunsets and sunrise, or there's
I have a big one on my front of my lawn waiting for you, G.
Oh, cool. Hey, I'll be there.
And rocks are good for balancing our energy, right? Especially granite too. And so it just what popped up right away.
Thank you. Well, that's cool. That's cool. And I mean, I as soon as she pointed it out, I was like, oh God, okay, all right, I gotta get this out of me, And
so for Christmas, Bob, you should be listening to this. For Christmas, get her a giant boulder.
Make sure it's
I need a whole ton of them on that hill. It is what it is. Okay, you haven't even had time to breathe lately. Yes, I really haven't, and now it's like, okay, the Halloween stuff is pretty much done out there. I can kind of chill until Halloween, and then it'll be the big massive teardown. Then it's like, again, I'll be like, don't touch anything. I will do it. It has to be my order because I am totally OCD. Bring a hammer, they ring. Oh, to bang on the rocks, yeah. And I'm going to say that with my Mass accent, the hammer. What we call a persuader. But there is a place that's called the Singing Rocks too, that if you go and you bang them, that they sing. And it's not too far from here, I don't think. So I know my friends.
Maybe you should look into going, child.
Yeah, that it's it's like a little treacherous climb because there's a whole bunch of rocks. It's almost like a jetty type situation.
But you have those cats don't get anywhere.
So I think that's awesome. But thank you for worrying about me, Darian. But I'll always reel it in before it's totally too late. Sometimes we just gotta get to that little edge, Now you also bring up like there's tips that you have in here to connect naturally, and can I read these? I hope you don't mind me.
Absolutely.
All right, tips to connect naturally. It's like I'm just going to read the titles, not the other stuff. It's let go of expectation, right? So that is exactly what I needed to do right there, because I was like, well, these other people should be doing this, and I expect it to be done perfect, and this happened, and that happened, and that's not to my standard, and I don't like this, and let it go, let go of that expectation. No one thinks like you do, right? And then you also have create your own symbology library, and again, you get the book and you can see what that means. The next one, notice how you feel, which is what you were just saying, so how do I feel about this, on your 3 things.
Yeah.
And then this is the main thing, practice, right? How do we do anything in this field? We practice, right? It's like learn, practice. You go ghost hunting, you practice with your equipment, you learn, the only way you're going to learn is by doing. And then honor your alliance with nature.
Yeah.
How priceless is that, right? It's like getting back to basics and how we were born, right? So that I think we all need to. Tomorrow it's going to be cold here, but everybody should just go out that tree, or go sit on a rock. Or just take.
I'm sorry. The way you just said that, it's like it just didn't sound right. Go sit on a rock. It's like
sit on a rock.
Don't pee on the rock. Pee on the tree, but don't pee on the rock. Right? The rock
brings up a good point too. Right? Like some people, maybe it's going to be too cold. Maybe they live in a high-rise apartment and they're far from a natural space. So the thing is, right? Like I always say, the folks we're exactly where we need to be to remember what we need to remember. And there are those aspects of us working energetically, right? If you're looking, your brain doesn't know the difference between you standing in front of a tree or looking at a picture of a beautiful tree, right? And you can connect energetically that way. So even if it is too cold, right? Like then I have a mental process, a visualization process I'll take myself through, because it gets cold here and I don't always want to go sit on cold stuff outside.
Right. 'Cause I don't have any natural plants. I don't have any real plants in my house. Well, I have one. I don't know how it's doing because I don't know when the last time I watered it. I don't do well with natural, real plants in my house. I get fake ones, like, over there somewhere, like fake things. That's what I decorate with because it's, again, my OCD takes over and it's like, I want you to look like this. I make it look like this and it stays like that. Nice. nice.
Plus,
I
you
don't
don't have to water it.
Oh, I had to water plants in my mom's house one time and I was watering a fake plant. She had all these real plants and one fake plant. Watering it. It's like, what is
Like, that's the only one she hasn't killed.
That is very funny.
Well, you didn't tell me. Because my daughter has them all named, and she put these beautiful little tags, and they have.
Again, where would she ever get this from?
I have no idea.
Don't know. Oh God, I miss doing this show. Can I say that?
It's our letting it go. We get to connect with each other. We get to connect with amazing guests and the people in the chat, and it's what allows us to
we release all our crap too.
Work for another week until we get back here again. It's what gives us this is our kelman. This is our our value. This is our value.
And I'm going to be singing that song for the rest of the night, that Let It Go in my head. I'm already doing it back there. If I start to wander off, that's what's playing in my head.
Oh, that's great. Oh, we're being told, let's see. That would be no green thumb here. Rubber plant. Mary Jane, breathe. Yes.
My daughter has a room, her bedroom. She's single. She can do whatever she wants. So she moved her bedroom into her living room because it had a nice big window, and all of her plants are like surrounding her bed. They are like, she's got plant palooza. Okay, and the only time there's an issue with the plants is when she doesn't let the cat out soon enough, and the cat will jump up on wherever and start smacking plants, and they'd be like, "Don't you do that? Don't you?" And the cat be
like, let me out or the plant gets it.
Exactly. And we're waiting for the winter on her porch, and then the cat will be like, okay, stay inside. And he's a ginger too, so you figure it. But
I'm redheads, I'm telling you.
Special.
You never know. You never know. You know what else I wanted to ask you though? All right, medicine wheels. Okay, now you were going through forest and realized how the rocks were formed, that it was like a giant medicine wheel, and then you like fixed it up a little bit. What do you think the ley lines in the world and where these giant rocks are on the world? Do you think like it's a huge medicine wheel, like the entire planet? You know what I mean?
It's more like acupuncture on the earth, right? You've got these stones either in the earth or on top of the earth. And just like with acupuncture, right? Like you're getting different vibrations, different frequencies happening, different harmonics. And I believe that it is helping each of them individually and then collectively, right? Because they're connected along these ley lines, these energetic grids that go through the earth. They're supporting each other and activating each other, or not activating each other, right? Because some of them haven't been used, or we don't know, or we bulldozed over them or whatever.
Yeah, or the shifting of the planet, like
Yes, and we need to be the walking, right, acupuncture pins on the earth, so that our vibration, we're raising our vibration and coming into that unity consciousness, so that wherever we are not only being sourced by the earth, but we're sourcing her and that grid that, again, thank God we can't see everything. It would drive us nuts.
I know, especially us OCD people. Wouldn't that be the same with icebergs in the ocean?
It could be because of those amplification properties of water, and then when it's in that ice form, it's just a little different because the water that's between the earth itself, the land mass, and the ice, some of the icebergs, some of them are coming off of the earth. It's going to be a little different. It's going to have different properties, and you'd want to probably work more with water spirits in that case if you're working with icebergs, and the element of water and the air, because it's that ambient air temperature that's changing the chemical structure of the water. So we go way down a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Well, that he's brought up the air. It's like, again, it's like things I think we've always known, but reading it like air for inspiration, like, and it's just like, oh yeah, because it does kind of, you'll get all of a sudden these inspirations.
Like winds of change, right? Think about that.
Right? Yeah. And where does this stuff come from? And all these sayings, it's like a folklore, based on truth. Maybe it's morphed over the years, but based on truth. So these sayings. That's how
we passed it down, right? Over the age, humans were storytellers, so we always told stories, and just like we all had that grandpa who spun a yarn or two, right? Like they embellish the story or they change it up. Or again, sometimes the politics of the day required that they speak more in a code and not just say things as they were, right? I mean, oh my goodness, we're not allowed to talk about a lot of different natural things like cannabis and even comfrey, right? Like the FDA has said, stop talking about that. Colloidal silver, same thing, right? So we're not allowed to say these words or we'll get censored.
Yeah, because it hurts big pharma. That's why. So,
we can find different ways to say those things and share that, and it would get passed down. But all of the ancient civilization experts, they all say, talk to the indigenous people, ask them about the stories, because they will tell us everything we're looking for and what we wanted to know. It's not the rich guy who came over and said this is what was happening here. Talk to the people who've been there. Talk to the locals.
Yeah, they live there. Yeah, this is their life. Yep. Okay, I'm going to change the subject now to animals. All right, and this particular animal spirit guides. Now, you said here that like we can have our guides. Again, I started out my main guide that I knew of. Well, actually, when I was a kid, I think it was mice. Everything was mice, right? And then I went to bunnies, and bunnies were so prevalent, especially through my design career. Bunnies were like everything. I put it so much so that I put a bunny in every design I did somehow, and whether if I was just even painting on a kid's ceiling or something, to be a little bunny clown. You know what I mean? There would be a bunny in there somehow. And then to the foxes when I got into the paranormal, and they are the guardian between this realm and the next. And that fox is so prevalent still. Not that I don't have other spirit guides. Well, what you wrote in here is that like every year you kind of turn over a new animal spirit guide as to what you need. And I didn't ever thought of it that way as yearly, because I've noticed that they have changed. Like a turkey was prevalent in my life too before, and things of that nature. And it's just like, guys, look them up, because having a turkey for a spirit guide is pretty amazing. Because I was like, really, a turkey? And then and then you look up what it means and what it can do. Yeah, it's a pretty cool. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, but it does change, and now you can connect people. You have a thing that you can help people connect with their animal spirit guides.
Yeah, I do. I call it the Animal Tarot, right? Because it's an annual guide for folks. So we look at there's all different ways we can have these spirit guides in our life, right? Like, so I call it your totem animal, the animal who came in with you at birth and is here for your whole life. We have multiple totem animals, kind of like a totem pole, right? Tells you about that clan, that tribe, who's there for them, what do they represent, these things. It's the same for us. So, right, like we've got a totem animal based on our numerology, right? What was our birth date? That will tell us one thing. But our names, right? Like Vasquez is a Basque word from Spain, meaning the gathering of the large black birds, right? So big animals are in my lineage, right? So those ravens, those crows would be big for me. Maybe the place where your family is from may have an animal connected to it, or an industry or a business that your family did may be connected to animals. Whether they were conscious about it or not, these would be different animal totems that would guide your whole life. And that animal's energy, then what you do with that, like, okay, so what? So you got a raven. So now what, right? Well, we look to that animal's energy to help us move through life, right? So a raven is about, first of all, it's a bird. So the element of air, getting out of your mind, your thinking mind, and connecting to that divine mind instead of trying to figure things out, and then bringing light to the dark. So when you've got that raven energy, you're bringing that light to the dark. So one thing that I would always want to be looking at in my life is, when dark shit shows up, how do I bring the light to it, right? When that unwanted stuff shows up, how do I bring the light to it? And then each year on our birthday, right, that animal totem based on our numerology is going to be there with us for our whole life. But each year on our birthday, another animal will show up, again, based on our numerology. Of course, there's other things we can look at, and we can see, oh, if we look back, oh, that year there were a lot of whales in my life. So we can intuit in other ways. I'm like, hey, here's some math. I can do simple basic math, and we can look at what animal is with you each year for that year. And it gives you, again, a go-to. It's not so much that it's predictive, like your year's going to be like this, but it's like, when whatever shows up, call on this animal's energy to move through it. And that's how you're going to be able to shift energy. That's how you're going to be better prepared, right, to move through. And then each month, I mean, you can drill down all the way to the day. In the sessions that I do, we do the totem, we do the year, and then we do each month for a year. And then the people who use them, they say they put up little Post-it notes, right? So they know, oh, this month I'm dealing with this animal. And it becomes like a roadmap on how to move through the year. So those are super fun sessions.
That would be. I mean, oh my God, I would love to do that with you, because I mean, I know that there's been so many, I don't know what it is. I have more animal guides in my life than I do, any kind of a human or even the ancestral or, I do have two big angels that many psychics have told me, two very bright lights behind me all the time,
So
and
cool.
it is very cool. I did meet you, Mike. Oh, she's got it. Okay. Hi. Oh, she's almost back. She's working. Must have been a family emergency.
Sorry, potty break.
Oh. Okay. But the animals have been more prevalent, and I've always felt more connected with them.
And that's what we do. We just follow where are we predisposed, right? Like, what lights us up? For me, it's animals and nature, right? For some people, it's the angels. Some people, it's ascended masters or the fairies or whatever. You just got to lean into whatever it is that you already like, and follow the clues from there. It's like a big cosmic scavenger hunt. Get the first clue, follow that, and then you're going to get another one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly it. It's like, as soon as As yeah, I liked mice when I was a kid, and it's like that's all you saw everywhere, and everybody gave you mice, and and everything else. And now it's like, and then the fox came into my life like a freight train, and everybody gives me foxes. I mean, I get foxes everywhere I go, and so at my house, I could probably call the Guinness Book of World Records. As a matter of fact, look at this little guy right here. He's a fishing little fox. Isn't he the cutest thing? I got him in Gettysburg.
Cute little outfit.
Yeah. I'm like, he's this cute little fish and everything. I'm like, oh my God, I love him. I have to have him. I don't have a fishing fox. I need a fishing fox, but it's like, it's everywhere I go. But that's how you can always tell. People always ask me, how do I know who my animal spirit guide is? It's like, all right, well, when you're going out, what do you pick up on? You're picking out a card for someone, a birthday card, and it's like, oh, there's one for dogs, there's one for cats, there's one for that, It's like, but I'm always going to the llama one, Well, then,
right?
Maybe
it doesn't, right? Like you said, it doesn't have to be a physical animal.
It's
right?
what,
like,
what's
pictures? What are you hearing? Sometimes you're flipping through the channels and you'll hear them. Bear or whatever, or moose, whatever, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And for me, if something shows up 3 or more times, I'm like, oh, I probably should pay attention.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And then you can look it up. And then with the internet, it's really easy to look up what, all these
anything
mean. And anything, but I would look it up and not on just one site. I would go several sites, to make sure like they're all doing the same.
Resonates, yeah.
But yeah, that's it. And they do help us in so many ways. This fox has kept me safe in my journey in the paranormal,
Yeah, absolutely.
And we walk that boundary line, So
and then I want to shout out to Dr. Stephen Farmer, because the book, right, my nature book, is in the Common Sentience series, and I don't know, I want to say there's going to be like 12 of the books when the series is done, and they keep adding to it. So Farmer did animal spirits, and so he's got a whole book on that. There's nature, there's angels, there's your guides, there's the ancestors, there's shamanism, there's sound. So like it's whatever floats your boat, like you're like, oh, that's interesting, go there. Right, like, and it's the same setup in each book. We talk, the lead author talks about the anchoring information, right? Then we get some stories from other people, so you're not weird. You got a tribe, and then some things that you can do to practice. So again, whichever of those or all of those, right? I can't get mine because it's across the room. Otherwise, I'd do my little farmer, but I don't have it close enough.
Oh, but Debbie says every day a blue jay comes into a yard. She said, so would that be my spirit animal then? Well, it could be that, or it could be it's bringing you a message. All right, like owls when they come in, owls are like associated with wisdom and whatnot. But a white owl coming in, if you see a white owl, associates with death a lot. So there could be a death of someone that that's a family member or whatever. Whatever the blue jay has for a message, it could be that. Right, it could be just a message, or it could be, maybe that's making itself known as a guide.
Yeah, sometimes they're just a messenger animal, which I get is this one for you actually connected to someone who you love who passed over, coming and showing up and saying, I'm here, I'm good, and I want to help you, right? Because the blue jays are so friggin' smart. They're like annoyingly smart. And it's like to help you come at whatever you're up against in your life in a creative way, and knowing that you've got this person on the other side has got your back. And it feels like a male energy to me.
There it is.
It's great.
This one's
awesome.
Awesome. Of them.
Awesome. I just booked someone else for actually next year, because I'm booking in, I think, June next year. Another Common Sentience book. I can't remember what it is now. They just come in.
Yeah, me too.
So, but I love this. I want to get the whole series. I want to make sure I have every book.
I'm working on it too. Each time one comes out, I get a new one. We've got them all over the house. It's hysterical.
I know. I'm going to have to expand, because I don't know where. I
have to move that big old desk and give you new. support them from the ceiling with glass shelves.
Yeah, no, I'm running out of wall space. So I don't know. I'll just have to start giving out books. I'll have to have like a one-day book giveaway. Maybe I'll do that. That could be a show one day
That would be a fun show.
of the books I've read and whatnot. And do a book giveaway.
All they gotta do is pay for shipping. Done.
Yeah, and don't mind all my marks and my like Wicket. I underline things, I mark things, I dog ear things, like there are breaks that, like, I'm sorry, this one won't go, right? Because this is a personal one for me. But there's some of these books that I know can help other people.
Yeah.
This one, people, you have to get yourself. Just saying. All right, we got 5 minutes left. Can you believe 2 hours just flew by?
Always does.
My God. What were you saying? You were going to do some kind of a reading?
Oh, yeah. This is the perfect time. Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Okay, team, you guys got to come in here and help me because you got me in this. So for everybody else, as she buys time while her team starts talking to her, for everybody else, if you will just take a few deep breaths, right? We've been chatty and mental and we've been interdimensional, but to kind of get here, take a couple deep breaths, dropping into that heart space, and think about the question that's on your heart or mind. The first thing that comes in, right? Maybe it's about something going on in your life, your animals, maybe you're thinking about a tree now in the yard or something, who knows? But think about that. And I want you to pick a number, 1, 2, or 3, and give me just 1 second so I know what 1, 2, and 3 are going to be here. One more second.
Okay, we'll put up the link for your chat for your website, which is here. So that's www.intentiontraining.com. Intention training. So go there, check out her website, connect with her on Facebook. Get it done, people, because this is you need to. That's all I gotta say. Don't make me come find your asses.
Right. Okay, so those of you who chose, remember, if you forgot or you're just getting in, 1, 2, or 3, you've got a question on your heart or mind. And those of you who chose number 1, you've got that mineral energy of marble, right? Most people know marble as a countertop or a tile, but there's actual raw marble out there as a rock. And that marble energy, it's a very feminine energy. It's formed actually through a lot of water at different points in its creation. And that marble energy connects with your crown chakra for visioning, right? Like opening you up to the flow of visioning. So those of you who chose that marble energy, let that marble energy open you up to a creative solution to what's going on right now for you. Those of you who chose number 2, you have that landscape energy of the desert coming through for you. And the desert, it's so deceiving because on the surface, it looks like nothing, right? Like it looks void, and yet looks can be deceiving. That's what the desert's telling you. Looks can be deceiving, and there's more going on than meets the eye. And you got to just go in a little deeper to have it revealed. So those of you who got this answer, number 2, I would be taking this to the dream time because the desert and the astral realm are very connected. So like we talked earlier, before you go to sleep, ask your question, ask for the help, go to sleep, set it and forget it.
Yeah,
right. Yep. And that those of you who chose number 3, you have got that cedar tree energy coming through for you. And cedar trees are all about magic. They're all about that portal into the elemental realm. So anything that's going on, take this to the cedar tree. You could even call in the elementals. You can call in the unicorn energy to source you in moving through whatever issue is up for you. So number 1 was marble. Number 2 was desert, not dessert, as I wrote down. Number 3 was that cedar tree.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I thank you for that. This has been super fun. You're amazing.
And informative.
You are so much a part of the Fox Den family now. You definitely
You couldn't get rid of me if you wanted.
I don't want to.
That's what happened with me.
Don't want to. Oh my God, we got to have you back. It just, if someone cancels, I'm calling you. I'm just gonna say, Anna, can you please just give us some time.
You want to come back and say, okay, so 2 weeks now.
But is there anything going on right now that people can get involved with, or like a thing starting, or?
Well, let me give you guys a little inside scoop. Actually, I mentioned Dr. Stephen Farmer, and I'm going to be working, and Marilyn Aloria. She is a psychic medium who's doing the guidebook, or who did the guidebook in the Common Sentience Theory series. So the 3 of us are getting together next year, this week, actually, in October, at Joshua Tree, just outside of Joshua Tree National. Yeah. And we're doing a 3-day retreat, the 3 of us. So the 3 of us together, it's going to be phenomenal. We're going to be talking about all this stuff and more. And we are just ready to sign the contract on that. So watch my site. At my site, if you sign up for my free gift, it gets you on my mailing list. Then I tell you everything that's going on. Watch that and you'll know. But it would be great to be in person, right? Like our like-hearted tribes. It's so great we can do it virtually, but there's something about, and I don't do it that often, right? Every other year I do a live retreat maybe. But when you get to see each other eye to eye, and I'm a hugger, right? So
yeah.
It's like, oh my goodness. And then the physical energy we create when we're together, super fun. I'll be bringing my plant machine for sure.
Oh my God. I really have to look that would be like the ultimate, I think, like Christmas gift for me to give my daughter. I got to find where I can get one of these, or have Bob work on it. I got to do some research on that. I've learned so much things I had no clue of, and now it's like, I want to do some more researching, because Mama D knows I love learning, and
lifelong learner.
Yeah. And I think this is a great, like, wow, really opened my eyes to so many different things. I didn't know that nature could talk back to me. I know that it helps me. I know that I ground with it. I know that, it can cure me. It can heal me. It can, things like that I didn't know I could actually talk.
Two-way conversation.
Yes. And have a conversation, have it talk back. And I think that's amazing. That is just totally amazing. So thank you again, really, for being here with us. And Mama D is muted again over there. I hope everything's okay over there.
Everything's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, I have to. You know what? We've been gone so long. And it's like, what am I doing here? I got to play my exit video. That's what I got to do. Like, what? It's only been 3 weeks. Lost. But in my head is just like
it's an eternity, dude. It's an eternity.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about all these different things. Like, we could have talked easily for another hour, easily, and more. We just gotta scratch the surface of things that are talked about in that book. I mean, oh my God. So if you want to be wowed and have your mind opened or blown, then get it and see what I'm talking about. But again, hang on just for a minute, okay? And everybody else, we'll see y'all next week. And thanks for hanging with us tonight. We had fun. Ciao for now.
Night, everyone.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode in the Fox Den. We're here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and our Anchor venues. We would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, and please subscribe, share, and definitely hit the notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for our pop-up shows as well.